The age of industry has come to Albion. Though some call it the age of oppression.
I'm a newcomer to the Fable franchise. The first one didn't look particularly interesting to me, but I did want to give the series a try since the second one, but that one never came to the PC. But essentially, this is a review from a newcomer's perspective. I've always liked Peter Molyneux's games, despite the hype and what he says. To me, they're all generally fun games. Will this one be one of them? The first two games in the franchise are set in a medieval fantasy land of Albion. The third installment leads to an era often unexplored in a fantasy setting, the Industrial Age. Still set in Albion, though now in a less cheerful, oppressive age where you're part of the royal family. Your evil brother, Ogain, is essentially oppressing the people and left the industrial quarter to a madman. After you escape from the castle, you start planning on how to start a revolution by gathering support from various places around Albion. Even though later on you find out that there's actually a reason for your brother to be evil and not just because he's a bastard. But the story never evolves too much from you have to save the land of Albion sort. The story isn't all that great in an overall sense, and the characters aren't that much better, only exception being Sir Walter. But that's about it. But the dialogue, writing, and general British voice acting is good and funny and makes the story worth a playthrough at least once. Fable 3's gameplay isn't exactly mind-blowing, but what's there is fun, at least for me. The combat is rather fluid as you switch from sword to magic to gun. Magic for some reason doesn't feel as powerful as it should though. A nice little thing is that you can mix your spell gauntlets and combine your powers for different effects, such as shock and ice storm or vortex and fire. Personally, I prefer the sword and gun, or just a gun who has some more awesome executions. The enemies aren't all that much of a challenge unless you let them gang up on you. Part of the gameplay is exploration and searching for hidden items such as silver keys that help you unlock chests that have legendary weapons or money in them. Though searching for the game's known silver keys and such can get really tedious, especially when you find one and turns out that you can't get to it because of a certain quest that you can't do. Admittedly though, the game has a good amount of fun quests accompanied by fun dialogue. For example, one of my favorite ones is the one where you go into sort of a Dungeons and Dragons game where I think the developers might have been poking fun at themselves. The game has a sanctuary where the player pretty much stores all his prizes, money, and newly bought and found clothes and guns. This area essentially serves as a hub for the player to find all his stuff without going to a menu. The game also has a light management aspect of gameplay where you can buy houses and businesses and charge higher or lower rents. Depending on what you charge will depend on how the citizens of the region will react to you. There are some simple jobs like blacksmithing, loot hero, and pie baker, but those are rather repetitive and you won't be using them much. Interacting with the citizens of Albion is rather simple. If you want fear and hate, you do evil action. If you want love and friendship, you keep doing the good ones. Though if you want someone as your friend, then you have to do a quest. And this is for everyone. Everyone you meet will want some sort of quest from you. Aw man, I hope they don't want to be friends with me. This is gonna be impossible. You can even have love, marry, and have a little kid, though you will most likely do that just to open one door in Bright Wall. As you make your way through the game, you collect guild seals which are used in the Road to Rule. Here you can spend seals on upgrades to your attacks, magic, as well as opening up new interaction options with the citizens of Albion. The endgame is pretty easy. You have to essentially make good or bad decisions. It's easy to be bad, but it's also not that hard to be good either, since the only thing you need to do is wait till you get enough money from your houses and shops. Graphics wise, the game looks fine, but it's only thanks to its brilliant art direction that the industrial age of Albion looks absolutely great. Everything from the clothes designs to environments, Albion looks appropriately steampunk, if that's what they were going for. Animations are nice and fluid, music is always atmospheric and fits the mood the game is trying to set. The first town you go into after escaping the castle is strangely depressing for me simply because of the music, and that's essentially how good the music is for me personally. Due to fast traveling all the time, it's nice to know that you get something entertaining to see during the loading screens. A variety of posters are really, but luckily the loading screens never last too long. One of my favorite parts of the game's presentation is simply the intro. Even though the chicken intro is meant to be humorous, it's a bit sad for me because you root for that chicken to make it through all that and then the bastard kills it. What can I say, it's kind of a bummer. Fable 3 isn't a great game, but is it fun? I'd say yes. If you decide to get it for the 360, I recommend renting it, but if you want to get it for PC, I recommend borrowing from a friend or buying it at a lower price. Like I said, it's not a great game, but it's a good and fun game, which definitely recommend you check out at some point. Till next time.